In this video, I'm going to be talking about the top 7 golf shoes of 2019. So what we look for whenever we're testing them all out were how they actually performed, how the quality was, and also the price. And we tried to find some that are a bit cheaper, some that are kind of in the middle, and then some of them that are more expensive as well. So you can go off whatever your budget is. But before we get started, I will just mention our gear giveaway. If you want to enter into our subscriber milestone giveaway, so every 1,000 subs, simply subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment giveaway down below. Do those 3 things, you'll be automatically entered. Number 7 is going to be the PUMA Grip Fusion shoes. And if you don't want to spend a fortune on golf shoes and you live in a fairly dry area, then these could be perfect for you. They're comfortable out of the box and don't need much time to break in. And I was surprised with how well they actually gripped without spikes. One of the reasons I like this style is that they have mesh on them, which gives a little bit more ventilation on hot days. So just your standard classic, they can get pretty hot on hot days if you're walking the course, just because there isn't really a whole lot of ventilation. With these mesh ones, yeah, they're not going to be the best if it's wet out or if it's kind of like a wet morning. But on hot days, the ventilation, the breathability, it's much more enjoyable. It makes walking the course, much easier, and that's kind of what I've been wearing as of late. So let's just cover some pros and cons. So pros, the price is super affordable. They don't have spikes, so you can wear them as everyday shoes, which is a big plus in my opinion. And then they are a lot nicer than some of the other golf shoes. Cons, they aren't going to hold up as long as some of the more kind of expensive options. They aren't waterproof, and they run a little small, I found. So get half a size up if you are going to get these. Number 6 is going to be the Adidas TOUR360 knit shoe. And if you do prefer the mesh looking style, but you want a bit more quality, then these could be for you. I like this style just because they let my feet breathe a lot more, but they're also a little bit more waterproof compared to the Pumas. They're not 100%, but they do a little bit of a better job at keeping the water out. They are quite a bit more expensive, and I'd like to see a bit more heel support just because they are a bit more expensive. It's not too bad, but I do think the quality is there, and they're probably going to be something that are going to last a little bit longer in my opinion. Pros, they don't require much time to break in. You can wear them barefoot if you like. I don't do it myself, but I have read about people who bought these just because they prefer barefoot, and they wore them barefoot and they were extremely comfortable. They're extremely comfortable to wear. Again, I wear socks, but they are much more comfortable than like the classic kind of golf style shoe that most people have been wearing. Cons, I'd like to see a little bit more support in the heel. They're a little snug and not the easiest to get on. If you do have a shoehorn or something like that, that's kind of what I use and found that works best. But they are just slip-ons, so they are a little bit tough to get on. And the price is getting up there a little bit. Not the most expensive, but they are not the cheapest option either. Number 5 is going to be the FootJoy Pro SL. And if you do prefer the more classic look in a golf shoe and you do walk the course a lot, then these could be for you. They're fairly reasonably priced, and one of the cooler things is that you don't have to actually replace the spikes on the bottom. So as you can see in the picture there's no removable spikes. They are much more durable than normal spikes, but they still do grip really, really well. They don't have as much ventilation as the previous, but they offer more support and are extremely high quality and will last quite a while. Haven't had them for too long, but the overall quality seems really good, and you probably won't run into many problems. Reading like reviews too, they all seem to be pretty good. A lot of 4 and 5 stars, which is a big plus. Pros, they come in a wide range of colors. The quality seems really high and will most likely last a long time. And then they were nice and stable. Cons, some people say to get half a size up and some say to get half a size down. So I don't really know what the issue is with there. I generally wear a 10.5 size shoe, and the 10 was fine for me. So I don't really know what the issue people were having. So you could have a little bit of problems. I don't find them to be as comfortable as the mesh style, but they do have a little bit more support. They are more waterproof, so just kind of depending on what situation you're going to be golfing in. But overall, they are one of my favorites. Number 4 is going to be the Under Armour Spieth 3s. And if you do like a classic look, you want the highest quality possible and you do have the cash to spend, then these could be for you. They are fairly pricey, but the quality seems great, and they're some of the most comfortable ones I've tried. I didn't find them to be as comfortable as the Spieth 2. Maybe I just need a little bit more time to work them in. I found the Spieth 2 to be one of the more comfortable shoes on the market. This one here, it does have some improvements, but I've only used them, maybe 4 or 5 times, so they could take a little bit more time to get worked in. But overall, other than that, they were really, really good. I did get the white ones, but they do seem to stain pretty easily, so I would maybe get the black ones if you are thinking about it. Pros, they are extremely stable and grip well. I've had them in some pretty wet conditions and they've always stayed dry, and they are a great looking shoe. As for the cons, they are the most expensive shoe on this list. You can't really wear them off the golf course, which is kind of a negative. And as of making this video, they are really hard to find new spike replacements. I had a pretty tough time, and I've read some reviews of other people having a tough time, so hopefully they get this fixed. Not really a huge issue, but definitely something to be aware of. Number 3 is going to be the Adidas Tech Response, and these are my favorite budget golf shoes because they are lightweight, they're super comfortable, and they can be thrown in the wash to clean. If you do have wider feet, then make sure you get the wide version, but they're not going to be as waterproof as some of the others. They also have mesh on them, which is why they aren't as waterproof, which makes them more breathable though. But I really like them mostly because they feel like ordinary running shoes, so that they don't feel like the classic golf shoes that aren't always the most comfortable. They feel, like tennis or running shoes, that kind of thing, much more comfortable and much better for the harder days of walking. Pros, the price is great, so they are the cheapest. They don't need a very long breaking in period. They're the most comfortable shoe at this price point. Cons, they aren't going to be very waterproof. They wear out after a couple of seasons, and if you're heavier, you're probably going to need gel insoles. I'm not that heavy, but I just used the standard ones they had and they were perfectly fine. But I have read about people who were a little bit heavier who needed special insoles to make them more comfortable. So, not a huge deal just because they are a cheap shoe. So you don't really expect the insole to be perfect, but I found it worked just fine for me. Number 2 is going to be the ECCO Biom Hybrid 3, and this is my favorite golf shoe for women, and it's the one my girlfriend's been using as of late. They are pricey, they're actually the most expensive on this list, but they do come in a wide range of colors, so you can be extremely well made and have great support. They are fairly tight in the toes, so that's one thing to keep in mind, but they're a great option if you're going to be golfing in early morning when it's cold and wet. They do keep your feet warm and they do keep your feet wet. Maybe not the best option if you are golfing on a hot summer day when you are walking. They're not bad, but there's probably more of like a breathable one would be better if that's the case. Pros, the arch support is great and we've never had any problems with sore feet. They are spikeless, so you can wear them off the course, which is a big plus, and they are waterproof. Cons, they do take a little bit of time to break them in, more than the kind of mesh ones. They're the most expensive shoe on this list, but overall we've tested out a few different women's shoes and these seem to be the best ones. But my number 1 pick is going to be the PUMA Ignite Nxt. But these are my favorite golf shoes right now just because they are reasonably priced and they are the most comfortable, and they also can be worn off the course as well. So I do wear them, just going out, which is a big plus. So I don't need, 2 shoes. I can just have these and wear them for golf and, doing whatever else. They are mesh and they're not waterproof, but they do a better job than the previous mesh ones. So they're not 100%. They're not as good as like the classic ones, but they are much better and they do a pretty good job at, keeping your feet dry. But they do have a good amount of ventilation to keep your feet cool on hot days. And that's kind of why I prefer wearing them. This style of shoe is so much nicer to play in compared to the classic golf shoe, and that's why I could never go back. If I know it could possibly rain a bit, or if it's a wet morning, I'll wear like the standard waterproof shoe, but pretty much most of the time I wear these and they do a great job. Pros, they're nice and stable throughout my swing. There's no spikes on them, so you can clean them really easily, so like the grass doesn't get stuck in the spike, so you just have to give them like a wipe off and you're good to go. And they can be worn off the course. comfort is top notch on these, so they're the most comfortable in my opinion, and that's kind of one of the main reasons why I do like wearing them. Cons, they won't perform that well in wet conditions. There isn't as much grip as the spikes, so they will slip a little bit, and you'll probably need to get a half a size smaller. That's kind of what I found, but overall this is definitely my favorite, but pretty much any of the 7 are going to be great options. So just kind of whatever your price range is, whatever your kind of style you like, go based on that. But if you would like to see more images, more reviews, or get any of these for the lowest price available, click the link in the description down below. At the time of making this video, that was the best place I could find it. So you can go ahead and check out the current price if you want. And if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you haven't already watched and commented on our latest video, click the video card to the left and get yourself another entry into our golf giveaway.